Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This time, we're navigating the waters of Emotiva, a company making some pretty big waves in the world of transportation tech. And we're not talking flying cars here. More like the brains behind the ships and trains and barges that keep things moving, globally.
Yeah, it's really interesting how they're focusing on empowering the decision makers in the industry, right? Like giving them the tools and insights to kind of cut through the noise and make things more efficient, less costly, all that good stuff.
For sure, for sure. And for this deep dive, we're sticking with their website, kind of like getting a feel for how they present themselves to the world. And let me tell you, they don't waste any time, no sir. Empower your fleet, cut your costs. That's their tagline right there on the homepage. Bold. What do you make of that?
Well, it's classic, right? You hit those two big buttons, control, everyone wants control, and then the bottom line, the cost, speaks directly to the people holding the purse strings, no matter the industry.
And they're not shy with the whole nautical theme either, like the website's practically drowning in it. Even got this quote, "A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor." Almost like they're saying, hey, we're the salty dogs here, trust us.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's all about building that confidence, right? We've weathered the storms, we can handle your choppy waters, that kind of vibe.
And speaking of choppy waters, they definitely list out some pain points that transportation companies face. Fuel efficiency, obviously a big one these days, but then also carbon emissions, data collection, maintenance costs, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, and that's smart, It shows they're not just peddling some tech solution in a vacuum. They get it, they understand the pressures these companies are under, fuel costs going crazy, environmental regs, the whole bit.
Right. So they've laid out the problems, but the million-dollar question is, how's Emotiva going to solve them? They highlight 3 main services. Vessel telematics, which they've given this catchy name, River Techie, then there's bathymetric survey going by Easy Survey, and lastly, just straight up software development. So let's unpack this River Techie thing first. What's the deal there?
So River Techie is all about, think of it like data-driven decision-making for, the transportation world. We're talking big data analytics, the Internet of Things, even something called vessel data mining. It's a lot of information all crunched together to help ships run better.
Okay, so big data, IoT. We're throwing around some real buzzwords now, vessel data mining even. But for folks who aren't, coding whizzes, what's the real-world impact? How does this River Techie actually help?
Think of it kind of like this. It's like River Techie is the nervous system for the whole fleet, right? It's taking in all this data from the engines, weather reports, even like the river's current, and then it figures out, okay, here's how to make things run smoother, smarter. Like, imagine a barge heading upriver. River Techie could be looking at how fast the water's flowing, what the weather's doing up ahead, even if there's going to be traffic, and it tells the captain, hey, slow down a bit here. You'll save fuel, make better time overall.
So it's like having a supercomputer on board, but instead of playing chess, it's saving you money on diesel. And I bet those savings add up quick, especially when fuel costs are through the roof like they are now.
Oh, absolutely. Even a tiny bump in efficiency across a whole fleet, that's huge savings. And of course, less fuel means, less pollution. Got to keep that in mind these days.
For sure. Sustainability is the name of the game now. All right, let's move on to their second big offering, Easy Survey. Bathymetric surveys. That's a mouthful. What's that all about?
It sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty crucial, especially on rivers. Basically, it's all about knowing what's going on under the water, the depth, any obstacles, so you don't run aground. Easy Survey uses sonar to make these really detailed maps of the riverbed.
So, like an underwater roadmap, making sure those barges don't turn into submarines by accident. I imagine that's extra important for the bigger ships, right? The ones that need a lot of water to stay afloat.
Exactly. If one of those runs aground, it's a disaster. Damage to the ship could be environmental damage, delays, all of it. Easy Survey helps prevent that, gives captains the info they need to stay on course.
Smart. And their website calls it plug-and-play software. What's that mean in plain English?
Basically, they've tried to make it as user-friendly as possible. The transportation industry isn't always known for being super tech-savvy, so Emotiva is trying to make it easy to adopt, easy to use.
Makes sense. Even the best tech is useless if nobody can figure it out. Now, on top of River Techie and Easy Survey, they also mentioned custom software development. Why offer that if they've already got these like prepackaged solutions?
It shows flexibility, I think. The transportation world is complex. Every company has its own quirks, so being able to build custom solution, that's a big selling point.
So they're not just a one-trick pony. They're willing to get in there and tailor solutions. I bet that goes a long way, especially for bigger clients with more specific needs.
Oh, for sure. Builds trust, Makes them more of a partner than just a vendor. That's huge.
Right, right. Now, up till now, we've been looking at Emotiva through their own lens, right? Their website, their claims. But let's see what the word on the street is. They've got a whole section of client testimonials, and no surprise, they're glowing.
Testimonials, you got to take them with a grain of salt. They're always going to pick the good ones. But still, it's interesting to see what people are saying, even if it's filtered.
One called River Techie, a game changer, said it revolutionized their operations. That's high praise.
Definitely, they're not afraid to use strong language, trying to really sell that impact.
Another one raved about Easy Survey's unmatched precision and how it cut down on those grounding incidents. Again, bold claims.
Precision is a good one. It speaks to a need for accuracy, reliability. Same with reducing incidents. Everyone wants things to run smoothly.
Yeah, for sure. But like we always say, got to look beyond the marketing hype, right?
Exactly. Testimonials are one thing, but what about independent reviews, case studies? Does the reality match the hype? That's the real question.
That's where things get interesting, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we've heard Emotiva sing their own praises, but now's the real test, right? Does it actually live up to the hype?
Yeah.
What happens when we look beyond the marketing?
That's where the digging starts, right? Testimonials are one thing, but what do the industry experts say? Are there any case studies, real-world examples of how this stuff's working out?
Yeah, it's like you can read the brochure for a new car, all the fancy features, but you want to know if it actually drives well?
Exactly. And in Emotiva's case, think about the people actually using this tech, the crews on the ships. Is it really as user-friendly as they claim? Or is it just another headache for those guys?
It's one thing to say it's going to make things more efficient. It's another thing if it actually makes their jobs harder in the process.
Right, right. That's always the risk with new tech.
Totally. It's like that saying, the proof is in the pudding, or something like that, right? You can talk a big game, but does it deliver?
And that's what's so interesting about these deep dives. We start with what a company wants us to see, but then we got to go deeper. See what shakes out when you actually put these ideas into practice, out there in the real world.
Exactly. And speaking of shaking things out, for any listeners out there battling their own logistical nightmares, Emotiva might just have the answers. Might be the ticket to smoother sailing, right? But like always, gotta keep a critical eye.
Always, always. Take this info, dig a little deeper, see what else is out there. Don't be afraid to ask the tough questions.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, folks, that's all the time we've got for today's deep dive. Hope you enjoyed the ride. Until next time, keep exploring.